There we go. So there we go again. Where were we? We were somewhere. Oh, we wanted to go here. No, we don't. This is so fun. It's my hobby project. I like it. You can't shoot yet, though. Troublesome making it shoot, but it works. It's a bit of a physics engine. So, yeah, you have to make. It's windy. That's why it's sort of moving, even if I put it there. So it's my physics world have some kind of wind in it. It's not supposed to be that in this kind of asteroids game, but it has. If you, one can do a lot of things with these view page source. So this is the HTML document for that. So it's not much. It's basically the header. It's main. It's a canvas. So this is a HTML canvas where you can draw stuff. You can draw 2D, or you can use 3D techniques to draw. It's a nice thing. And it has some style. I don't think it's too much style, no. So it's not the style thing that makes it happen. Let's see. So it's actually the JavaScript that sort of does it all on this page. So it's, oops. So here is a JavaScript program. Request animation frame. So it's sort of redrawing the screen each, whatever, 60 times a second or whatever it will be like. So it's requesting the animation frame. We have some object create function. Yes, we're adding it since it doesn't exist in the Java. So we're patching up the JavaScript language a bit. We have some key pressed, so events for key down, key up. So that's how we use it. We had event listeners. So we add event listeners to JavaScript to actually, well, be there. When this event is happening, call this function. So it's very event-driven language. Yeah, we're working with vector. Well, we're calling a function a vector. Looks a bit like C++. Looks a bit. Does it look like Java? Does it? Yeah. No? Yes, it's JavaScript. But does it look like Java? No? Kind of, yeah. So this is one way of writing, sort of a tiny way of roughly object-oriented way of writing JavaScript, but it's not really called that. And yeah, particle system, nice. Let's leave this. Oh, let's go down at the bottom. I think we have this. Ooh, let's go. Window on load. Use strict programming. Init the asteroids module. Write it onto that canvas. The HTML canvas having that ID. This is a game, so it's a game loop. It's just going round. Ready to play? Okay. That is one way of writing a web page also. But let's go back. We were somewhere. No, we weren't there. We were there. We were. We must end this presentation also. Okay. So this presentation we lost track somewhere in moving on to CSS. Yeah. So we are back on track and talk about CSS. So we start with CSS. And we usually just put in this, as you saw on some examples. We put them in a link. It's a style sheet type link, and we link to the actual file, style.css, or wherever it is then. In going from the same link where the original HTML page was, and then we open in the same directory a file called style.css. That is the most, no, it's one way of doing it. And then we put all style sheet into that document. We have CSS rules. Looks a bit like this. So we have a rule up there. Body is a HTML element. So here we style an HTML element. So all elements can be styled. And we apply some CSS property to it and give it a value. So, well, one task when you sort of start with this, you want to have all these, what can I style? Background color, font size, font weight, underline, border radius, background image. All that stuff, at the first time you feel like, okay, I want to know it all, but you have to find it out. So it's a lot of stuff you can style, basically everything on the page. You just need to find the property and style it. So that is a single one up there. Here we have H header 1, style the header 1 and style all paragraphs. So this is style that applies to all paragraphs on the page. And I put the font family, I give it the font size. Yeah, nice. When I have this, when I give this same sort of rule set to many elements, I just take the elements and I divide them with a comma separator. And when I have many rules here in the rule set, I just add an semicolon, thank you, at the end of it. Okay? So this is how it labels. Select the property value. Selector property value. So how does one style then? So this is an example. So the bottom one is an HTML document. The top one is a CSS style sheet. So we have 3 rules on top. And the first one is styling an HTML element H1, so the header 1. Style applies to that. So it applies to all header 1 that is available in the document. The other one is a class attribute. So it's like a variable, and we call it a class. So this is a particular class style. And this style will be applied to all elements having this class attribute set. So if we look here, we have a class warning. So yeah, so that is the class attribute applying to this one, excluding the dot there. So these are connected. The last one is an ID attribute, so hashtag ID. So this is mapping to this ID section, ID headline. So this is actually getting a style from all these 3 rules. So it's going to be a bold, red, and underlined header. So it's different ways of applying style to an HTML element. And if you want to take a hint from the coach, do it like that. Always do it like that. Always create a class and attach it. Don't use this ID. this is nice to have when you code JavaScript and you want to attach something to an HTML element, then ID is nice, mainly, but not for style. So that's the general guiding rule. And usually don't apply style on this high level on all on the whole HTML element. It's because maybe later on when you want to change something you will end up in sort of styling trouble. So take it short, use this class attribute when you style. Okay, where should we style? We have basically 3 places where we put our style sheets. And it's nice to know when you sort of get an old website and you're going to go in there and fix it up and see how they have written it. So do it like this. In the head, link to a separate file, always. You might have some in the head section within the HTML document. There you also can put style. Within the style section, just write the rules there, and those will apply to the page. And if you're feeling real daring, you could, or yes, I'm living on the edge. You could style an element by having the style attribute directly on it. And so when the browser gets the HTML document and you have an external style sheet, you have embedded style, and you're styling the HTML element, so all of the above 3, it will first read the external style sheet. Read it. Then we will take the embedded style, because it usually comes, well, it usually at least comes after. So then we take all those rules and sort of attach those also. And if any of those rules is overwriting another rule before them, well, this is the one which will be sort of precedence. And then, the final step, take the inline style at the element, and if that is sort of overwriting some rule, that will take precedence. Yeah?
Isn't it better to keep all the styling in a separate file instead of having like separate files and also inside the HTML?
Yeah, we put all our style in one separate file, external. We always do it like this. Do it like that in an external file. But you will end this is the way how you can style it, and you will see web pages that are styled in this way for some reason. Then. And sometimes it's nice to know that you could style it like this. This is how it works. So the short answer on which style is used, since you get all these rules applied, they take the later it's written, it takes precedence. So when you're writing rules in a file, so the rules you are writing at the end of that file will take precedence of the ones you have written on top of the file. So it's nice to know when you're sort of in troubleshooting. So the closer the element, the rule is used. And when you're really into trouble, or when the customer asks you to sort of update my style on this WordPress website where you get the style sheet that is minimized, you can't actually read it, it's just a bunch of text, then you should know that you could always add rules at the bottom of the file. And if it's so messy set up, the whole rule set, I want the table to look like this, but only when it's in the sidebar. And you sort of can't write a clear rule, and you can't fix the HTML structure because it's generated for you. Then you can always sort of really find out a very specific rule, hard code it, and then you add sort of important. And that will take precedence over everything. It's a nice way to fix things when you're really into trouble. So, yeah. I like nice codes. Nice code. So, do we have a challenge with HTML? Yes, I guess we have many challenges. But on this level, we should make it validate. When you've done it once or twice, you know how to put up the structure so it's easy to style. Because you will eventually add HTML elements just to be able to style them. As I did with the teddy bear there. I wrapped a div wrapper around it all just for me to make it easier to style for some reason. It's good to learn those things, but it's hard to tell you how to do it. The structure should be search engine friendly. It's a big thing for all real websites out there. But if it's validated, that's step 1. I give you step 2 later on here. So, don't style too much. Small means to style the web page, I would sort of suggest. You should be able to style the web page independent on how it's written. If you can't go into that structure, you should be able to style it anyway. And you can, but it might be a bit harder. When you write CSS from the start, there is a bit of experience that will make you write good CSS. That have a good structure. It's easy to extend, easy to change. So there is some sort of, what is it? Looking at CSS code, it could be like a nice painting. It should look nice and it should have a good structure in it. So there are some sort of, when you are a real pro on it, you will be able to see, oh, that was a nice structure. So it's a challenge bit. Anyway, we need to HTML and CSS to make it work together. So that might mean that I want to style something, but it might be easier if I add this HTML document. So I get less CSS code, I add some HTML code, and vice versa. So they are sort of working together. Yelp to get going. This is there are some reading material for this assignment also. Or MDN, Mozilla Developers Network. We use that as a reference for HTML, CSS, JavaScript, core programming. So we'll find an overview of the elements there. I have some cheat sheet. I have a V3C sheet. Now we'll leave these. These are sort of aids to find out what are the HTML elements I can start working with. How to sort of see how I could style things. So the easiest way to MDN, CSS, border radius. I want to have a sort of rounded border. That would be the sort of main guidance for a starter to get going there. If you really want to know a bit more, I would suggest to these 2 resources, and I could just click them just to see how they look like. There is a search engine optimization guide. It's for starters, but it will explain to you what the HTML elements you should have in a page and how the basic structure of the page should look like. So it's not too much to read, and you will find this. Oh, you should always put an H1 on top, and so on. Small steps that would make your web page look a bit better. And if you are interested in doing really nice CSS code, there is this online book. And if we take this core, Maybe you should read this when you are sort of a bit more into CSS. But it's giving you a, like I said, always style with a class attribute. And this is will tell you why, and why you should do that, and what problems you may end up in if you doesn't do it. So it gives you kind of structure on the CSS. But it's for additional reading material there. There are these HTML validators. They're sort of looking like this. And we don't have an online web page. We can put in the document here if we want to. Doc type HTML. Hello. Would that really validate? I could check it up. I will get a lot of sort of warnings and recommendations. I'm missing the title. I'm missing the language attribute to HTML. Okay. So that is a way how to check that my actual HTML page is sort of according to the standard, with or without the optional elements. So it's a development tool. Yes. There we go. Let's say something about JavaScript. So the next week will be all about JavaScript. But let's just have some introduction. So, yeah, someone wanted to have client-side scripting. I don't know. Make the page animated. That was one driving force behind this jQuery, very popular JavaScript library. So animate the page, make it move around. But it's basically more dynamic than CSS can provide. Today, it's a lot of dynamic and animation stuff you can do with CSS. So you really don't need JavaScript to do that kind of stuff, to make it look nice, or make something bump up and down, or move from left to right, or hover an anchor and make it sort of slowly change from one state to another. All that you do with CSS now more. So it's a bit of a performance thing to use CSS built into the browser instead of this external JavaScript with timers and all that stuff. But it was a driving force a few years back, animations. Now it's fetching data from the server, showing it off on the page without need to reload the page. And that we'll do that Monday. We can validate the form, HTML form, before we submit it. We add our profile, and we'll use JavaScript to check up if the phone number is correct, or the social security number is written in according, or the credit card number is okay. So that's why we can use JavaScript to check up stuff before we push it onto the server. Or add some graphical widgets that's not available to HTML. Just put month or date displayer. Maybe it wasn't available before, so we do that with JavaScript. Or do more graphical elements. Make the web look like a user, what is it? Yeah, user interface a bit more. Yeah, we take this Monday. Programming language. A lot of built-in methods. It has some of what you expect from a standard programming language. So you are aware of Java. Yeah, you know they have built-in functions, methods. Yeah, we'll find not as many with JavaScript, but the core, some of it. I always talk about this document. It's the HTML document. And there is this document object model, like we said, the tree. This tree can be modified from JavaScript. So we have functions that sort of can rewrite the tree with our code. So change content, change style, without needing to reload the page, so just happening in the browser. We talk about event-driven. We'll check up how to write a callback. We see what asynchronous request using fetch will be, so check that up on Monday and next week. So let's see how. Let's see some JavaScript code just to. So, 2 ways of doing comments. Here is a comment. I would say it's a C++ comment. You can write that type of comment in Java. Yeah. And this type, one-line comment. Yeah. We have some typing. We create variables. We put the value in it. We put a string in it. We write an if statement. Looks more or less the same as in many programming. We have a 2 equality. We have a 3 equality. You know how 2 or 3 works? Maybe, yeah. No, it's maybe it's mainly used in sort of not so typed languages. So this is a checking up the value is equal. Compare the 2 values. But this is a not that typed language. So if we really want to see that some string and 42 is equal as value and as type, then we use 3. So basically in this world we use 3 to be assured. Otherwise, yeah, we'll leave that until Monday. Short syntax for an if statement works in several languages. You might have seen it. Loops, while, for loop, create one way of creating a function. You'll see many ways of creating functions and structured code in JavaScript. Very interesting. But this is one of the most, well, this one I understand. And write output, console.log. It's a way of doing cout or printf, whatever. Print it out and call the function. Yes. And I will 2 more minutes. Yeah. Have you heard of can I use? Maybe not. Let's see. There are some browser incompatibilities. So it's a website. Can I use this HTML element in all the web browsers available? So if I want to use border radius, I want radius. It will show me a link of all the web browsers that my customers may have on desktop, on mobile, on tablet. When will it work? In what version will it work? So if you are, well, if you are then a sort of kind of web developer, this is one where you sort of, okay, I want to use that. It's a rather new construct. There's a lot of new constructs. But I need to check what are the constraints. So my user can't use Internet Explorer 6. I'm fine with that. So it's a very nice resource when doing development there. When you're doing a project or whenever you're doing work, you might want to use a CSS framework. There are some out there. No. Let's not go through them today. There are a lot of CSS frameworks that makes it easier to add more advanced CSS code to your web application. And you will get a lot of style sort of free of charge if you get this large style sheet in to start with. but you need to learn about it and how it works. So Bootstrap would be such a CSS frameworks. Maybe we'll check it up later. For now we can have it, maybe after lunch. There is a lot of JavaScript frameworks, and let's have the last minutes before lunch just to look through this is a recent sort of inquiry. It's done yearly. It's asking the question, what is the current state of JavaScript and its frameworks? So this is the world a web JavaScript programmer would live in. So they do a lot of things. So they, let's see if we can see some. No, these are the guys. They answered, what is the, I can't even see it. Whoops, maybe. Let's take another one. If you really want to go into how to sort of, what are the JavaScript frameworks and what are used out there and what are the developers saying about them? Well, then we should stick to this and see it. It was a really nice one. Let's see. That might be hard to interpret. Fetch. That is a function that is well known and many use it. Web audio, so we know about it, but the small dot inside there says no, it's not so many who is really using it, but I heard about it. So fetch is both well known and well used. So we'll try it. We'll try it on Monday. So this is async await, promises. We'll try not to go too deep into that, but that's a task for next Friday, doing Node.js and Express perhaps. So it's let's see if we can, JavaScript flavors. There are different ways of writing JavaScript. So there are a lot of people who say JavaScript is a very hard language to learn. So then we want to write JavaScript, but much more typed, much more class-oriented. So then we have TypeScript, we have Elm, we have Clio. There are another same kind of stuff like JavaScript, but one level above. So it puts itself just on top of JavaScript, but basically generates JavaScript. So it's a lot of different techniques. It's we have a lot of front-end frameworks. We have maybe heard of React. Svelte, that's a new one, so I didn't check that up. You have heard about Vue. You have heard about, what is that? Preact? Oh, okay. Yeah, you heard about Angular. Yes, you have. And Ember, maybe. So those top four main JavaScript frameworks that's sort of used by companies developing. We have data layers. Maybe we could drop that. Very interesting. We have backend frameworks. This is all JavaScript sort of universe. And it's not really easy to sort of, what should I select? Which framework should I go for? Is it front-end, back-end? It is just data-driven. Wow, it's really a sort of large stuff. What we have here? We have, no, we just leave it. We have testing tools, we can skip that. We have mobile and desktop environment, we leave that. We have other tools. We have opinions. We have opinions about all the JavaScript developers. Is JavaScript moving in the right direction? So the people who strongly agreed in 2018 are now less. So they agree, but not so strongly as they did last year. Oh, are we moving in the right direction? Yes, maybe not so. Okay. Building JavaScript apps is overly complex right now. Actually, half of the JavaScript development world is agreeing. It's overly complex right now. So, almost half agree. Should it be like that? But it's also, maybe it's moving in the right direction. JavaScript is overused online. So we use more JavaScript than we actually need. So 1/3 is actually agreeing on that. And being neutral and agreeing is half of them. We are overusing JavaScript. But the other ones is saying, no, we are not. This is how, do I like JavaScript? Oh yeah, I like JavaScript very much. So the people working with JavaScript is very fond of it. But they do think it's over complex, maybe we use it too much. I really would like it to be my main language. Yes, it's a majority thinking that. The JavaScript ecosystem, which this whole sort of inquiry investigation is sort of trying to pinpoint out, is changing too fast. And looking back, yeah, majority think it was changing all way too fast. But they are sort of, the line is sort of, no, we are moving maybe into the right direction. It's not moving so fast. It's a lot of different frameworks in here, so it's hard to sort of keep track. And Monday we're just going to do sort of a loop and a document and an event handler. So it's just a fresh start. Okay, lunch, and I think we'll continue here after, just to get done with the assignment 2. Thank you.